So this video looks at how we work with occlusions. So in front of us here we have a track, a completed track. Let's go to my footage view here. And you'll see that the target is moving along with the ping pong ball at the end of the stick, and then it gets to the point where we would no longer be able to track the ping pong ball, but we still need to keep the movement going. So we need to sort out this area here where the occlusion is happening, or where it's going behind this focus board. So come back up, and then as soon as it can see, we can see the ping pong ball again, we can track that using normal means. So essentially what we're doing is we're automating a track to here, then we're manually keyframing to here and back up again, and then we're tracking from there on in. Now you can see down in the timeline, the one that I've done previously, that there's keyframes captured by the tracker, and there's none, but there's an eased keyframe here, or with some velocity changes on it, and then that allows us to catch the smooth arc of movement as the hand goes behind the board, back up again, and then we carry on with our track. So we'll do this from scratch, and I'll copy and paste our target into the composition. Okay, so we have our clip. That's grayed out because it's shot using a log profile, so I'll sort that out at the end. But you would basically always track an unmodified piece of video, so you don't do color corrections and then track, because it's going to be slower. So I'm going to track motion. You can see a tiny little tracker because the video is so big. It's a bit of an annoying aspect of After Effects. I'm not sure you can change the size of the tracker. Okay, so we have our feature designated, and we have our search region. Pull back out, and we check our options. Everything is set except for the adapt feature, stop tracking. Click OK, and we're going to automate this, and it'll be a little bit slow because it is 4K footage. Let that run. It only tracks as far as the top of the board here, so we can probably do this in real time. We don't need to pause it. So it just takes a while to get going. As soon as it does, it's going to be much quicker as the track approaches the occlusion. There we go. Okay, so it's stopped tracking as you would expect it to. So we just need to go to the part after the occlusion, where we can see the ping pong ball again. Move our tracker up there. Might actually go one more frame forward so we don't have the top of the board in the way. We can come back and change that afterwards. Okay, so now I can automate the track forward once again. You can see I've probably made the search region too big, slowing things down. I'm going to stop the track there. I'm just going to shorten my timeline, so I'm going to hit the N key and then Shift Control X and make life a little bit easier for myself. Okay, so we now have tracks down. Now you'll see it kind of starts to slowly make its way back up again. That's because it treats the end of the first track and the start of the second track as essentially two keyframes, and it's just slowly making its way across time to get from one to the other. So I'm going to create a null object, because that's what you always do with this kind of stuff. I don't need to name it because I'm only going to have one. I'm going to edit my target, select the null object, and assign that. Okay, so now we have a null object doing what we need it to do. Now, It's you can keyframe the actual tracker itself and do all of this in the tracker, but I find it easier to do it um, on the null object because it's just a little bit easier to work with. So if you pull up the position property, you'll see that there's a gap there. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to manually find ways to line up this null object with where we assume the ping pong ball to be. Okay, so we go for the arcs of movement, so it arcs down, it stops, and it comes back up again. So we know there's a kind of an easing or a velocity change we can use to make this work. So we'll put a keyframe there. We'll start off with an ease and just play it through. Actually, well, we'll drag it through. So we'll see, oh, I never moved null object. It's also very important. So I'm kind of guessing that it's around here. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look very bad. I may have gotten it quite accidentally gotten it quite accurate that time. It's not always that quick. Now you can now start attaching things to it to visualize it properly. So if I go back and grab my target shape layer, so I copy that, paste it here, switch it on. I'm actually going to turn down the transparency on it as well. Oh, it's already down, but anyway. Right, so I'm going to parent that to the null so it'll move with the movement of the track. And yeah, it's doing its thing, so I just need to line it up, which is handy because we're working with null objects. Now we can actually visualize it, we can animate it, we can hit the playhead, see if it's working. So you'll see it's okay. Now it's only when you really get into the fine details of this that you start seeing problems. So what you can do with this is, you can try and find where the end of that is using all kinds of means. So for example, I'm going to just use a quick mask, or sorry, shape layer here, just to line up with the center of the stick. It's just another way of trying to, again, accidentally got it right. Okay, so we're lining it up, and we can switch off that second shape layer. Okay, so we'll play that again. Down, back up. Now, what you'll often find, because there's an arc of movement, is that you'll need to start playing around with velocity and with your motion paths. So I'm going to move the playhead down here, and we see that we can hold down Alt and we can drag that up and give it a little bit more of a natural kind of arc. Same with that one. And the last thing that you can try then, if you find that the timing doesn't work, if it comes down and you need to slow it down even more, you can go into your keyframe velocity and you can change the influence here. So if you wanted to kind of come down a little bit faster and go up a little bit slower, you can change the influence on the outgoing velocity, for example, to 50 or 75 or something like that. In this case, it seems to be working fine, both at 33. Now, you can come up here now and you can start doing a little bit more fine tuning if you need to, such as trying to get the keyframe just as it starts to go off, just to give yourself an extra frame of accuracy. Change that because it comes in as an eased keyframe. So keyframe interpolation, linear, linear, okay. And now we have one more frame that we can bank on to be accurate because we can still kind of see it up there. Okay, so that is in essence how you go about working with an occlusion.